This week Facebook Live, we are joined by Miss Azreen, also known as Kakak Kondom, and also Dr. Doctor Education, which mainly sharing about sexual related experience, related concerns and problem. So yes, let's say hi to everybody, Dr. Rachel, Azreen, and Ezekiel.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Okay, our line is a bit lagging. I think because of it's going to be heavy rain soon. So maybe Dr. Rachel, can you just briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, so I'm Dr. Rachel here, and I am a sexual health practitioner, and I'm also a sexologist. So basically, the scope of my work is to treat a lot of patients in regards to sexual health, in regards to HIV, and also to provide a lot of counseling for people who have sexual dysfunctions, particularly. So yes, so that's my realm of work, and that's what I love to do. And yeah, that's basically all about me. And I'm from a clinic, and my clinic is known as MUC Healthcare, and we specialize in sexual health.
Okay, good. So Azreen, also known as Kakak Kondom, maybe you can briefly introduce yourself to our audience as well.
Yeah, yes, my name is Rin. I actually manage the strategic partnership at Carax. Carax is actually the world's largest condom maker. So essentially, I oversee and manage across the board for all corporate, government, educational, NGO cross partnerships for the Southeast Asia side of things. So that's actually how I actually know Dr. Ray before this.
Yeah, we go a long way back.
Yeah.
So I have met Dr. Rachel first time at a clubhouse, one of the talks that she was in. So then thereafter, I actually start following her at her IG, and she has a lot of very informative and educational content. So if you all have any, you all can also follow her at her IG. But Azreen, I don't know, I can't find your IG. Do you have an IG? Is your IG just
I do.
you don't have a
I do have my Instagram.
you don't
It was private because when the Kakak Kondom videos when they went viral, I had so many really mean messages coming in from Instagram, my Twitter, and my Facebook. So I had to go on lockdown. So I didn't read any of the harsh mean messages that people were sending me. So it's there. It's just hidden.
Okay, I see. So okay, so Ezekiel also is here today with me. So today's our topic is about sexual safety. Okay, sexual safety is also part of self-love, right? So when we talk about sexual safety, a lot of times I think the most common one is about condom, right? When you have a new partner or even you have an existing partner, how do you tell your partner that please wear a condom in a nice way?
Dr.
Rachel, do you want to answer this?
Okay, I mean, there is no, okay, honestly, yeah, there is no nice way to tell. There is never a nice way, okay? Because I think a lot of people know, when it comes to condom, they always have this thing, as much as the reason why condoms are so, especially, okay, I would, of course, support One Condoms here. They have got a variety of flavors, is because people look at condoms as always a sort of like a mood killer. So unless you're talking about something with flavor and with a little bit of maybe taste or something like that, some variety in it, it's always going to be a very sticky subject for people to talk about or people to even bring up. You see, so if you want to talk your partner, how are you going to tell them is maybe you can relate to their previous sexual, like, oh, hey, hi, do you are you into wearing condoms, or do you want to have unprotected sex? I think the best way is to be straight up front, because the repercussions that come after of not wearing a condom, the
Okay.
repercussions that come after that is unbearable. We're talking about avoiding a possible pregnancy or a possible STD here. So of course, I think to be direct upfront with your partner and say, look, I would want a condom on if you want to have sex. I think is very important. There is no nice way or unnice way. I mean, if you're a person who emphasizes on protection and also to make sure that you don't want to get STD,
Oh,
you don't want to get pregnant, you have to be straight up front with your partner. But if you're asking how, if it's a nice way, of course, don't be so strict. That is definitely going to kill off the mood by saying, you know what, if you're not wearing a condom, this relationship is off. That is a total
Yeah.
turn. I mean, you can have it in a common conversation. Don't bring it immediately. Don't bring out the question when you're about to have sex. Maybe, when you are in that mood, when you're having a conversation with your partner and you're already in the mood of maybe taking it to another level, you can talk about, hey, do you wear condoms? Do you use protection? One comfortable way I always tell my patient is ask about their previous sexual encounters. How were they with their other partners? Were they having protected sex? And that's where you bring up other questions like STD screenings and all that. It makes it more comfortable compared to 2 minutes before you get into that mood. You just like, you know what, are you gonna wear a condom? And it just spoils off the whole thing. So yeah, that's my advice.
okay, okay. So there are also guys who straight up and tell the partner saying that, oh, I don't wear condom. It's not comfortable. Then how should a woman react?
Well, I think Azrin can take this. How-
I think I have to echo what you were saying earlier, Dr. A. I really have to echo what you were saying. You really, at the end of the day, it comes down to one decision making that could go right or that could go wrong, right? So, what we are trying to do is as a company, what we are trying to do is One Condoms until this very day, actually, and I think it will be our mission throughout for a long, long, long time, is that we want to encourage open conversations. We want to encourage questions. We want to encourage people to really seek out more knowledge as to why it's so important for people to understand why one piece of condom could change someone's life. It could save someone's life. It could also mean, it could also be a symbol of empowerment where somebody felt felt strength and felt empowered to say, hey, I really want to use a condom, right? So I do understand that, Ezekiel, I'm really sorry, being the only man around here right now.
Well, I think it's great.
It is very
Go for
where
it.
lots of men actually, it's not uncommon, yeah, yeah, where lots of men actually say, no, I'm too big for a condom. It's uncomfortable for me. It just, I'm too big. I'm uncomfortable. It doesn't suit me. It's too this. It's too that. There's always going to be a million and one reasons. If you want to look for a reason, there's always going to be a reason, right? So we that is when we come in. We have to educate people about the product. You cannot be too big for a condom, because some of our condoms, actually all of our condoms, can actually sustain about 30 gallons of water. So if you are bigger than about 30 gallons of water, I think you should go get yourself checked, right? It shouldn't be something that you're like, oh, hey, I'm big enough to do all sorts of things. But yes, condoms are actually a medical device. They are a medical device, and people need to be educated about condoms and how condoms actually, like I said, it could be a symbol of self-empowerment, where somebody actually says that, somebody actually tells their partner or tells somebody who's in a new relationship, they say, I want to use a condom because I want to protect myself from A, B, C, D, F, G. They have STIs. They want to have planned pregnancies. They don't want to have a surprise Father's Day or Mother's Day gift coming up, things like that, right? So it all comes down to encouraging open conversations and really encouraging people to ask questions and to understand what a condom is all about.
I think Azrin, brought up a very good point. A lot of men will always say that I am too big to wear a condom. So it's like just recently, my girlfriend told me that the new partner said that he is too big to wear a condom. So yeah, so I think that's really good. So Ezekiel, what's your say?
I was
When
gonna
a
go
man,
like, I completely agree with you guys. Like, it's a strong sense of, because it's not just related to condoms in general. It's being able to state your boundaries about, like, hey, this is what matters to me. And Dr. Rachel was absolutely right. There's no super duper nice way to be able to say it, but to actually say it. It's just that there's various ways on how you can go about that. Because if you just tell somebody, hey, we're not doing this if you're not wearing a condom or anything like that, that's a mood killer. But at the same time, if you say it from not from an accusatory point of view, and you say like, hey, I know this is the first time we're doing this, and I would love to experience this with you, but I would also like both of us to be protected during this time, because this is the first time we're going to be doing this, and God knows if there's going to be like a second time, a third time, a fourth time, but let's take care of ourselves during this moment and let's do this. And that's a very different way of approaching how to talk about it. It's just that there's just so much taboo around the topic, because they're like, oh, you're in the moment, and then you bring it up. Is it going to kill the mood? Is it going to be awkward? And then a lot of you guys are absolutely right about all the rubbish that guys point out about why they shouldn't put one on. It's like, really, you're too big for this. I think the more likely statement is either number one, you didn't bring; number two, you have no idea how to use it. Maybe, and, or it can sometimes be a point of awkwardness, especially when there's that weird moment of, okay, for like, give me like 5 seconds to like put this on, and that's kind of a weird moment for some people. There's so many reasons, but no, you have to do it. You have to draw the line and draw your boundaries. If anything, I'm very pro for guys to also say that too, because you're the one who's fairly promiscuous, very likely. So protect yourself too. Makes a lot of sense to me.
I do think that assumption closing is good. Like in sales, we always do assumption closing. So you can also do assumption, like you just assume that you are going to wear a condom. Just make it like a norm. Then the person who doesn't want to wear it, he will feel awkward. Like, oh, when you make it, wearing a condom become like so normal. Like if you don't wear it, it feels wrong. So I think assumption is also good to do that. So okay, so let's say you will have a new partner and you want to be safe. You're not in a moment. You are just seeing or dating, and you want that person to go for a checkup or a screening before you get intimate. How do you do that? Dr. Rachel, you want to answer me?
Well, to be honest, I've had a lot of patients over this past maybe 6 to 7 months who have been coming in, um, usually after the sexual encounter, coming for a checkup. I think more and more people are more afraid to bring up the topic with their partners. They rather just go through the moment and then get screened after. It's similar even in the condom situation, when you cannot bring up your question, most girls especially, to tell your boyfriend that, I need you to wear a condom. They rather not do that and spoil the mood. They rather come the next day and take the morning after pill in the clinic. And I've seen
Oh, okay.
that. So I think it is very important to actually make it a norm to actually ask your partner regarding the STI screenings, because I think it is a very important thing. Because when you're talking about certain STIs like syphilis and herpes, it lives in you, for a long, long time. And even, genital warts and all that is something you can't remove. So it's an important thing to actually make it a serious conversation with your partner if you are in going to take it to another level. I mean, if it's just, even if it's for a one night stand or just a fling that you're having, if it's going to be penetrative sex or any kind of oral sex that you're engaging with, it is very important to bring up these topics. But most of the time, my patients are drunk, and when they come the next day, they don't remember what they've done. So usually they go through the moment and then they come the next day screening. So if you are, my advice is, if you're sane enough at that point of time, you're alert and you know what you're doing. It's always important to be very open with your partner about these kind of things and ask them, hey, when is the last you had a screen done? So to make it less awkward, you can tell that you had a screen done recently, and this is your results, and have you heard about this? Usually what I tell them is try to bring up a topic like you had a screen rather than
Okay.
pointing out and telling, have you done a screen? Because it's accusing your partner, like, what, I'm judging you, you might have an STD. So instead of that, make them feel comfortable, he or she make them feel comfortable by saying that, you know what, I actually had a screen last week. You don't actually might have went for that screen. It might not even have happened. But to make it comfortable, you can say that, you know what, I had a screen last week and, my results were fine. Have you had a screen before? Have you heard of this disease? Have you heard of this? It was new to me, and it puts the other person in a comfortable situation to actually talk, and bring up things that they're worried about. You see, so yeah, that's my piece
So,
of advice.
just now, Dr. Rachel, you are saying that like herpes, syphilis, and all this will stay in your body for long. So, if somebody has a STD before, will it be safe to have sex with others again?
Well, it depends whether you're having an acute infection or not. Because when you're having a syphilis infection, usually what we will do is we will do certain readings. I'm trying to make it as lay as possible for people to understand. So there are certain readings in an acute syphilis infection. So let's say these readings, when you first take it, if you have an ulcer in your genital or if you have a rash, you have very high readings. Okay, and you take medication, and readings basically go down to a dormant state. Okay, so when you're in that dormant state, all right, basically you're safe to have sex because you're not having an acute flare or an acute infection. So you will not actually transmit. But it's always safe to get yourself tested every 3 months to make sure that it doesn't flare up because STDs like syphilis and herpes have a tendency to flare up under stress, under repeated exposure. If you have multiple sexual partners, it will flare up. So it's always important. It doesn't mean like it's a dead end, where you have it and then that's it. You can't have sex anymore. You get yourself
So,
treated, you're fine.
so you are saying that if it's under control, it doesn't flare up. Is it safe to actually have sex without condom?
Yeah, you will not transmit it.
It will not.
Unless you're having an acute, yeah, you will not. But of course,
Understand.
please always have safe sex with a condom.
Yeah,
Unless it's
understand.
your husband. I will always advise my patients, even if it's a 10 or 20-year boyfriend, please wear a condom. I will not go anywhere away from that statement. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what since we are in a STD topic, what is the most common STDs that you encounter?
Common.
Yeah.
Well, I would say chlamydia and gonorrhea nowadays, very, very commonly. Herpes, of course, but chlamydia and gonorrhea is very common because, especially for girls, they are very good carriers. They don't show symptoms. They carry the bacteria in them for a year. Guys are more
Wow.
prone to actually getting it. Girls
Okay.
carry it, so 50% to 60% of chlamydial infections don't have symptoms. So they
Okay.
can be walking around as normal as ever and passing it down to every guy out there without even knowing it.
Wow. So there's more reason for men to wear condom actually.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is
Women
why I think me and
are
Azrin have
carrying.
been shouting our ears off to everyone to please just wear a condom.
Okay. So so what is the general advice for people with multiple sex partners?
I think that
Other
one
than
has.
just Azrin.
I think she's a bit.
Yeah, I think
Sorry,
she
you were
froze from the
breaking
rain.
up.
Yeah, I think. No, Azrin, you froze, Azrin.
You,
I think her
oh, but I
line.
can hear you.
Okay, why not you
Can you
continue
guys
to
hear me?
answer?
Okay,
You
I can
Yeah,
can.
we
hear
can
you
hear
really
you.
clearly. What is frozen? Sorry, what was the question?
So, what are the general advice for people with multiple sex partners?
Well, wow, multiple sex partners. Of course, if someone, anyone at all has multiple sexual partners, more than one for that matter, or even just one sexual partner, of course, you need to protect yourself against not just STIs but everything, across the board. You need to be able to protect yourself from, um, considering that. Okay, let's just put it in this way. Okay, I normally conduct really really simple workshops, really really straightforward engagements with students in universities. And what I normally tell them is, imagine you're living in a house with 5 other friends. So in a house, there's 6 of you, right? Everyone is sharing one set of fork and spoon. For God knows why. God knows why reason. I don't know what's the reason, but everyone is sharing only one set of utensils, one fork, one spoon, for 6 people in the house, right? So everyone in the house, even if they know each other, they know that all 6 of these people are using the same set of fork and spoon. But no one seems to be washing the fork and spoon because they keep assuming, oh, the next person will wash it because that person wants to use it. But what if all 6 people have the same assumption? There is bound for something to happen along the way, with the exchange of body liquids, with the exchange of saliva, anything, you will catch some sort of infection. So, of course, it is very, very important for everyone actually, to be able to protect themselves. That's why condoms are there. Condoms are the only form of protection against STIs. Whereas, HIV, you have a PrEP, and then you have PrEP pills for pre-exposure and post-exposure. But for STIs, there's only condoms. Because why I say condoms is because condoms are the only form of protection that you have that is theoretically a barrier between skin and bodily fluids. That's the only form of barrier in between. It's different from if somebody tells you, oh no, you can take this pill, it will prevent, syphilis or gonorrhea or chlamydia. Those pills are really, really not meant for STIs because no form of pills can actually protect anyone or anybody for that matter from any STI infections. So it is very, very important for especially people who have multiple sexual partners to get regularly checked, to get, to really practice safe forms of sexual activities. And especially very, very important, as what Dr. Ruri was saying earlier, is that it's very, very common for women to be carriers of like gonorrhea and chlamydia without having symptoms. Because a myth that I would really like to highlight is that lots of people think that STIs, if someone catches an STI, a sexual transmitted infection, it's actually very, very obvious, where it hurts when you go to the toilet, you get rashes, it's external symptoms. But actually most of the time, Dr. Ray can back me up here, where it's not obvious. You don't know that you're a carrier. You could be living your life fine, but 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, probably 10 years down the road, finds out that you actually you were actually a carrier for one of the diseases. An extreme case that we found out about, this was a couple of years ago in the US. An American man, he was a carrier of, I can't remember what form of STI, but it was so bad that, of course, this is an extreme case. It was so bad that it had caused him brain damage because he was a for 10 years, and he was not married, but he did have multiple sexual partners. So in that span of over 10 years, he had multiple sexual partners, and this worm had actually gotten into his system, and it affected his brain. So he has a form of brain damage. But this was, of course, a couple of years ago when it happened in the States. But of course, it is an isolated case. But we're not exempting out and saying that, oh no, it's not possible and whatnot. But this is just one of those situations where it could be a what if. So again, people should get tested. Everyone should be practicing safe sex. Everyone should be making well-informed decisions, which is why we encourage open conversations and to encourage people to ask questions. If you're uncomfortable or you're shy to ask your partner, go to your doctor, go to any doctor, go to a clinic, you can go to MUC, you can step in. If you're uncomfortable, you can go to Dr. Ray, you be like, hey, I saw you on that Facebook live, can I ask you a few questions? You can really ask anyone anything, really. I think at this point it's just to encourage people to ask questions, because in Malaysia it's still such a very sensitive and taboo topic to even talk about, even with your partners.
I think if you're too shy to ask people to go for STI screening, you can just go and do your body checkup, then just get STI as part of the screening as well. Yeah. So just now we are saying, wearing condoms are so important, especially when you have multiple partners. How can we make wearing condom a bit more fun so that people look forward to wear a condom? How can we make it more?
Okay, so for Malaysia, what we have done is, of course, one of the ways that we have done is to encourage people to have open conversations about condoms is every year we come up with one localized flavor. So we were the ones that came up with nasi lemak, the durian, that was all us. So every year we come up with one localized flavor. So what it does is unconsciously, even when people start questioning, like, why do you come up with nasi lemak with durian? It's so strange, it's so yucky. But what lots of people don't realize is that it actually encouraged you to talk about it. Like, why do we come up with durian flavored condoms? Why do we come up with
durian season is coming up?
Yeah,
so durian season. So are your condoms seasonal as well?
Our flavored condoms, our localized condoms are limited. For every year we produce one localized flavor. So in the first year we did durian, and then we had nasi lemak the following year, and then after that we had teh tarik, and last year or the year before the year before COVID, we had rendang.
Wow, I think teh tarik is very interesting.
It's very nice.
Send you some samples. And this year we'll be coming up with another localized flavor. So you guys will just have to wait and see what comes out this year.
Kills, I think teh tarik is really, really interesting.
I was looking like Tetrick, and there's chendol flavor, maybe. I don't know.
We don't know what's gonna come out this year. It will be another localized flavor, of course. But of course, you guys will have to wait. Later in the year, it will come out.
Okay, good to know that. I think making it fun is people will talk about it. People will be curious and want to try it. Okay, but with all these flavors, will it get sensitive? Like will they get allergies to it or?
Okay, so our condoms are made out of natural latex. So of course, most people are not allergic to natural latex. However, there are a small number of people who are allergic to natural latex in general. So for One Condoms, our condoms, as I said, we use natural latex for our latex condoms. But there are alternatives for those who are allergic. Those are made out of polyurethane, if I'm not mistaken, polyurethane condoms. So that is a totally different segment altogether. That's a totally different topic altogether. Generally, when condoms are made, when they are actually packed, they are dosed with lubricants, of course. These lubricants are not dangerous for consumption. We have lots of people writing in and ask, my partner used your condom. Is it safe if I perform oral sex with the condom, etc., etc.? Is it dangerous with the lubricant and everything? So we always tell people that it's not dangerous. It's not harmful for somebody to actually have a little bit of contact with the condom. However, we do highlight that people actually need to be very careful, because if you perform oral sex with a condom on, you need to be very, very, very careful so that your teeth actually doesn't tear the condom. Some people actually don't realize it, but some of them actually tear it without realizing that they have actually torn it. So
Okay.
this, of course, comes down to really taking care of your, in a way, taking care of your condom and really knowing how to use the condom the correct way.
Yeah. And I think we also get a lot of feedback about people wearing condom and it's not well lubricated, so that's why it become not sensitive and it's not pleasurable. So we also sell lubricants, which is very very good quality. And after people use it with condom, they really give very very good feedback. Yeah. So I think lubricants is one of the key when you are wearing a condom as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Ezekiel.
But sorry, I
Yeah, I have a question.
hi.
I have a question for Dr. Rachel. As a couple of people who ask are very curious about what's your take on immunization with regards to STIs and for people.
Well, by far, I think the only available immunization is for HPV and hepatitis B. All right.
Mhm.
So if you have it, yes, of course. If you get immunized for HPV, it doesn't so protect you from cervical cancer totally. I mean, there are still other variants which can still cause the cancer. So it reduces the risk by maybe 4 to 5 fold, of course, if you take the HPV vaccinations. But if you have a family history of cancer and if you are having a lifestyle that has risk, it's always still important to do a 6 monthly check. Whereas
Got
for
it.
hepatitis B, yes, if you take the vaccination, it does prevent you from the infection. Whereas for HPV, reduces the risk by a very great fold, but you still sometimes it still puts people in the risk of still developing
Okay.
certain cervical cancers. Yeah. So, but other than that, other STDs, no other vaccinations available.
I mean,
Just
as a general follow up to that question, are there things which people should generally be, like planning for themselves as they're still sexually active over time as they're aging? What are general things to watch out for people like
in
in the
regards to
aging process?
immunization, you mean?
Correct. Yeah, like keeping your sexual health generally in a healthy state, plus
Yes.
everything else that needs to be part of it.
Well, I would of course advise the HPV vaccination and Hep B. I mean, if there is some sort of medication out there or vaccination out there to actually prevent you from getting something, I think the earlier you get it, the better.
Mm.
The one that I do know that the one that is given in for 13 years old, I think girls 13 years old. I mean, it's a HPV vaccination which doesn't really cover all the variants. But as you age, if you are more and more sexually active, if you are getting involved with more and more partners, I think it's very good to always get the one with the total variant coverage, which is the Gardasil 9, which covers, I think, most of the HPV strains. So it's always very important to get that. Hepatitis B, yes, it's sexually transmitted as well. It's very important to get that as well. So I think it is not a matter of whether you're going to be sexually active or not, because diseases like HPV doesn't only just transmit through sex. I mean, you can get HPV even if you're not wearing a condom because it transmits from skin to skin contact. You see, so whether or not you're sexually active, if you are coming, to a certain age where you're mixing around with people, getting to know, especially if you're going into college, it's always important to get vaccinated. I think vaccination just gives an extra layer of protection from whatever that you might be contracting, because herpes and HPV doesn't need to have condoms to spread. If you're wearing a condom, you still spread it. It's because it's skin to skin contact, so it's better to get vaccinated.
It's kind of
So
like it's like good that I'm recording this. I'm sending this to a couple of people after this. which brings me to like Azrin. We have one question here, which is more since you guys are in the topic of opening conversations with regards to like safe sex and condoms, etc. What's been the most effective way of being able to educate young people on this topic? Given that you're in Malaysia and then there's certain it's not that easy and not people are not that open to talk about these things. But if you want to hit like what teenagers, what's been the most effective that you guys have gone into?
Well, what we do is I've actually for the last couple of years actually in Malaysia, I've actually been engaging with the universities directly and with the students in general across the board. That includes the government universities, the private sector universities. We have a few international schools that have approached us, and a few high schools actually in Malaysia that have approached us. So what we do is whenever we create content for the students, right? We ensure that it has to be engaging enough and concise enough, not too lengthy where the students really lose focus and then they're like, oh my god, this is like another lecture, this is like another class of math, this is like another class of history. That's the last thing that we want to do, because being the topic already being so sensitive, already being something that they're going to be building a wall around themselves and all the other adults, we need to be able to really engage them at their level. And what I mean at their level is to really create a safe space for them, where it is a no judging zone, no intimidation zone, none of that. So what I normally do is whenever I host workshops, for example, at University A, I always tell the lecturers, you can be in the halls, but if one of your students actually raise their hands and ask a question, you can't turn around. So I make it a point where lecturers actually have to sit at the front row, only at the front row, because I understand that lecturers, their second nature is to really monitor their kids, but this is a safe zone for the kids. So I always tell the lecturers, you have two choices. Either you sit in the hall and in front and don't turn around, or you don't sit in the hall, because this is a zone for the kids and it's all about the kids, all about the students, right? And we get all sorts of questions. When I open the floor, some of them are a bit more confident, that's when they ask. Some of them are a bit more shy. So what I do is, at the end of every session, every talk, every workshop, I have this transparent jar that's about this big. It's transparent, and the jar gets passed around and anyone can drop in questions inside. They don't have to write their name, nothing. Just ask what's your question, dump it in, and then I'll just answer the question at the end of the session. So that is the time where actually lots of people actually dump their questions in. That's when you get some really eccentric questions, right? Because why? They feel that they're safe and they know that no one is around to know who is the person who asked the question. So I have gotten quite a fair bit of really, really worrying questions, yes, but the most crucial part is for them to be answered, right? So whenever there is a question left unanswered, that is the worry, because that's when they turn to other sources of information, i.e. the black internet, or worse, they ask their friends who ask another person who ask another person, who could misconstrue the question and give them wrong information. So it's very, very important for us to also create a safe space for the students and to know that whatever they are engaging with us stays within us. It doesn't go out to their lecturers, it doesn't go out to their parents, it doesn't go out to any of the other classes. We make it a point to not mix two different classes or two different departments unless it's something that they want. So we have spoken to the law faculty, we've spoken to dentistry, accounting, graphic design, art students. We've spoken to pre-med, we've spoken to medical students in IMU as well. So we have a diversity of really all the different students from all different backgrounds, and they all want to know the same thing. And they all want to be in a safe zone with, of course, somebody who they think is about their age. I would like to believe that I look around their age, maybe because of my height, I don't know. So they probably think, this lady looks a bit older, but not that old. That's what I would like to believe lah. So yeah, essentially, Ezekiel, just to answer your question, it's to create that safe environment for them. That is the first thing that we do. So of course, the students are our priority, and then comes the lecturers, the student admins and whatnot.
Okay. I mean, since we are on this topic, how do you manage peer pressures? Like among the students, there might be a lot of peer pressures, like, oh, you should start having sex, you should have sex. for more fun and that kind of. How do you manage that?
Well, we have had, it's actually not the first time that I'm hearing this. We have had a few questions from the university saying, how will I know when I'm ready, etc., etc. So again, backtracking a bit, now is, we're living in 2021, we're living in 21st century. What we need to do is we need to be able to encourage our youth and our future leaders to really be able to take a stand as themselves, by themselves especially. So what we need to do is we need to be able to empower them with the knowledge so that they are able to make a well-informed decision. See, knowledge is key, knowledge is power. So with knowledge, people and individuals, even young ones, as young as being in primary school, for instance, if they have substantial knowledge, if they have knowledge and they're equipped with the correct knowledge, then they should be able to make well-informed decisions by themselves. Because peer pressure is something that all of us grew up with, from primary school to high school to college to universities and whatnot. So it's not something that's alien, it's not something that's foreign. But what we can do is we can equip our young with the right weapons, which is actually knowledge. So with knowledge, that's when they are able to really make a decision on their own accord.
Okay, Dr. Rachel, I have another questions for you. Just now you are saying that a lot of people comes to you about STD and things like that. Are they usually on a younger age, or there are also mid-age people or older age people?
Actually, there's no range.
Okay.
I think my youngest patient was okay, might I remember about Form 2, Form 3.
Wow.
Yeah, she was still a student. Yeah, and the oldest patient I've ever got, I think most of them are married. Yeah, most of them are married,
Okay.
and they have basically other partners as well, colleagues and all. So I think it is sort of like a norm. And yeah. So your question was as in what was the age range or
What was the age range? And because for me, like I was in this sexual health industry for 2 years, and I start to realize that people who are even at their mid age, they are also like so lack of education. So I'm just wondering that the people
okay.
that you meet, I mean, when they're young, it's like, oh, they are ignorant, they are not being educated. But how about the people who are mid-age and older? Do you think they have sufficient uh, sexual education as well?
For me, I think most of the people that I've met, the only idea of sexual education that they understand is HIV.
Okay.
I think a lot of people do not understand that there are a lot of other STIs out there that are also harmful. You see, a lot of men walk into the clinic after they have developed symptoms. So that itself shows the lack of awareness of screening, because they don't come into to the clinic saying that they have a symptom. They come in after an encounter with someone, an exposure, and then they develop the symptoms and they know it's probably related, and then they walk into the clinic to get treated. You know, I rarely, of course, women on the other hand, regardless of whether they're middle aged or married, they come in for regular screens. I mean, they're well aware that look, I am having sex with other people as well, so I want to get screened, and they're well aware. But men, on the other hand, they come in only if they're having symptoms. I rarely,
Mm.
it's very difficult to get men to come and get screened without any symptoms because they always feel that, look, I'm fine. I'm doing great. I don't think I need to get screened. You see,
I
so
think
that
I
is
think I think women I think women, if you all start demanding your new partners to say, okay, it will be good that you do a screening. This is my screening, and I think that will encourage a lot of men before
yes,
they get late, right? After they
yes.
get late, you ask them to go for screening, they don't care about it. But if they want to get late and you say this is the criteria, if you want to get intimacy with me, I need at least a screening. I think that will encourage a lot of men to do screening. Okay.
Specifically for the men that you encounter who only come see you when, or only come to have checkups once it's already too late. What's the most common excuse that they give as to why they don't do it? Because I come from a very different like cultural background of sexual reality of where I've been in various countries, and the reality is not the same. In some places where I've been, it's like that's normal. Especially the more active you are, the more often you have yourself checked up. But what's the most common reason that you get for like here in Malaysia?
Well, I think for me, I when I look at it, when I ask them why don't you, because for them they don't see a need to do so. Because you see, it's basically, if I don't see it, I don't have it. If I don't feel I'm having anything, I feel fine, so I'm okay. I don't need to get screened because, of course, yeah, nobody wants to waste money, for the past 2 years because of COVID and anything. So for them, if I don't see a need to get screened, I don't have to get screened. So I only
Mm-hmm.
go to the clinic and get screened when I'm having symptoms. So if I were to ask them, why did you come earlier? They would probably just reply me, I was fine earlier. This is the first time. And they blame it on the partner. They're like, I had sex many times. This is a very common reason. I've had sex with many other people before. And when I had sex with her, I got this. So I need to get it treated.
Okay.
So the problem, it never lies with them. You see, I can always explain to them that, every STD out there has incubation periods. Maybe it didn't flare up. You might have spread it to them. I can explain again and again and again as a girl. But at the end of the day, if they don't see it flaring up in their previous relationships, and if it only flared up in this one relationship, that is what they'll relate to. Especially middle-aged men who lack of awareness in this. But younger people, on the other hand, they're more aware. They come
Mm.
to meetings, especially if they have, a one night stand with someone. The next day they are in my clinic and they are wanting to screen for the STD.
Wow.
Even then, I tell them it's too early because, even if you had an exposure, you at least need to wait 2 weeks. They will come for the screening the next day and they will still come 2 weeks later. The younger they are, the better. The older they
Wow.
are, the worse. That's the
Wow.
current trend.
It's like,
Yeah.
wow, there's hope for the future, guys.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
hope for the future.
Thank God
Woo.
for that.
Okay, that's good to know. So, okay, I mean, we do. I know that both of you all do a lot of education when it comes to about safety. But do you also talk about uh, sex, about self love, about pleasure, about relationship?
Yeah, I counsel a lot of couples on sexual well-being. I've had a lot of people, especially couples who are into arranged marriages. Who don't know where to start, what to do, and how to go about things. I've had people who are into a certain sort of sexual way or interest that they like, and then they marry someone who is very conservative and they don't want to even talk about all that. And that creates a little bit of a distress in the relationship. So people come to me in those kind of things. Yes, of course. And of course, the other realm is people with sexual dysfunctions not being able to open up to their partners. So that's another
Mhm.
difficulty and challenge that people face, which I think that is why sexual health is such a big scope. It's just not related to STDs and HIV. There is so much to it that people need to know. And they need to know that there is always a safe space to go and speak about it. So, yeah.
So, Azrin, I'm just wondering because you do a lot of education to younger students and etc. So, I think, do you talk about relationship and pleasure, or you just talk about safety?
We emphasize when we engage with the youth and with the students, what we aim for is generally to advocate for education and for the awareness. Because I think when we talk about pleasure and anything beyond that, that is already on a scale of running for these students. So before they're able to run, we need to teach them how to crawl and walk, and at what pace should you be able to walk, what is safe for you to walk, instead of just jumping the gun and just running just because it's stable, just because running requires consistency, just because you are familiar with it doesn't mean that it's right. So we must be able to teach them steps A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they have to be able to understand it first before they are able to really explore into other things that would be deemed more pleasurable for them, because each individual is different. So they need to be able to understand what is safe, what is not safe, what could be harmful, what is not harmful. And from there, each individual would be different in terms of really exploring what would be pleasurable for them. So yes,
So
we
so
emphasize
I
more on education first.
So I realized there's a gap here because in school we are being taught about how our sexual function are. We talk about safety, but there's not much education when it comes to pleasure, comes about relationship, comes to talk about love. You know. So and when I start to consult my clientele, I start to realize that a lot of people don't even know how to connect with their partners. They don't even know how to pleasure their partners or pleasure themselves. So how do you think, how can we actually close this gap?
Again, like as I mentioned earlier, because pleasure is very subjective. It depends
Yeah,
on pleasure from person A could be, it will mean differently to person B, person C, person D, because again, each individual is unique to their own. So
correct.
of course, if you are going into a new relationship, it is very important for you to, of course, before doing anything, you start a conversation with your partner, and
Mm,
and say that, hey, I know we're new in this relationship, and I want you to know that I want you to know, or I feel that both of us should know that this is, of course, it's a consenting relationship between two adults who understand what is safe and what is not safe. So from there, actually, when you encourage conversations with your partner, then it goes both ways. Because being in a relationship, whether it's between two people, three people, four people, or you just yourself in general, right?
mm, mm,
There has to be that understanding. You need to have that conversation first, so that you know that, okay, this is something that I enjoy. Or if your partner experiments something, you should be comfortable enough to tell your partner, hey, I didn't quite like this, it was quite uncomfortable for me, maybe we can talk about that. So
mm,
again, because of our culture, because of our setting, so to say, it's still a very taboo subject to talk about. It's still very sensitive, but we are getting there. The younger ones, like Ezekiel said, there is hope for our young ones. There's hope for our youth, because as globalization takes place, we have social media at the tip of your hands, right? So there's accessibility to everything. So right now we are still in the midst of slowly encouraging open conversations. We're not there yet, but we are crawling towards that direction. Yeah.
okay. So, Dr. Rachel, I know that you do a lot of counseling for couples as well. What do you think is the usual problems that you encounter for couples to have sex problem?
Um, Actually, they vary a lot, and there's no usual problem. I think every day or every other day, I'm getting a new complaint. It depends. Most of them, I've had people who come with even two wives, and one of their issues are people. The problem is communicating with their wives with each other. You see, so there is no specific complaint when it comes to sexual relationship, because, as what Azrin said, everyone will have a different idea of what ideal perfect sex is to them. You
Mm,
see, there is no exact definition as to what perfect sex is. Everybody's idea is different. There are
mm,
people who are into BDSM, and then they get married to people who are totally conservative and they have issues, and that's why promiscuity, people going into other sexual relationships actually happen,
mm,
because there is no proper communication. But one common ground that I've seen is there is no communication, because people always think, if I were to open up topics like this to my wife or to my husband, he's going to think that I'm weird. He's going to think that it's a taboo question. Why are you even asking things like this? So we haven't really, yes, as much as people like me, Azrin, we're all battling in the same ground field here, trying to create a safe space. But when you go back home and you face your partner, your husband or your wife, and that is a different battlefield altogether, and we can only encourage them as much as to counseling them to how important it is to actually open up to your partners. But when they go back home, it is a lot of things that come into factor. Number one, the upbringing. As much as Azrin does a lot of work telling people, students, and all that, but when they go back home, they face their parents, and when a thing about sex comes up, their whole family shuts up. It's like a total silence. So that's another wall that we can't reach and break. It's something that they have to break. Families have to break. And people like this grow up into individuals who are so conservative and who have a mindset saying that if my parents don't talk about sex, I'm not going to talk about sex with my children. And then there is children up there with so much questions in their mind, not knowing who to talk to. So we are in this sort of vicious cycle, which is already so screwed up in its own way, and we're just trying to untangle it bit by bit. And every time we untangle it, a new story, a new complaint, because each and every individual grew up in different backgrounds, have different ideologies, have different perception about sex. Some people don't even like sex, like pain during sex, a simple thing. A lot of people, women complain of vaginismus, people who have pain during sex, and they don't know how to tell this to their partner. And then there's some people who have sex addictions, who want the high of just having sex, not being able to tell their partners that it's actually a problem, and that's why I'm going to have sex with many people. So this kind of thing is still new, but it's happening, and I've seen people. And that's why it's important to create a safe space. So the more people work on creating it, the better it is for a lot of people out there, because a lot of people need help. It's just that they do not know how to approach. So we just are, our role is just like a bridge. As much as we can help, we help. But at the end of the day, when what goes on in their house is different. So the complaint is always different, yeah, definitely. It's never the same.
I am super grateful to have you both of y'all here today in our Facebook Live, because I also think that the more I talk to our client who face a sexual health problem, and sometimes it's just very small problem, but that affects a lot in our life. And sometimes this problem can, if you were to voice it out, there are also simple solution to it. But just because that it's a taboo to talk about it, people feel so ashamed or shy to talk about it. And I hope that, with Dr. Rachel, Azrin, you all keep on doing your great work and talk about it and make it such a norm. Would say that, like if I have sex addiction, it's a norm to just talk about it and get help. So yeah, so thank you so much, and I really hope that I can invite you all again, because I think the sex education for the next generation is really very important. I have two kids. I also think that it's really important to tell them, to bring up them, to nurture them in a way that looking sex as a positive thing, rather than it's a shame or it's something dirty or something. So any final say to talk about how can we nurture our kids to be more sex positive? Can we have a final saying from Dr. Rachel, Azrin, and Ezekiel before we end today's Facebook Live about educating our next generation? How can we nurture them in a way that they will grow up to be more sex positive?
I think my advice will be, we're living in a world that is very curious. Everything is very accessible. So I think, for our kids, because as parents or as guardians, we are the first people that our children will actually look up to and also mimic, in regards to the way we think, the way we act, and the way we actually talk about things. So in today's world, I think as parents or as guardians, it's very important for us to be very open. I think when it comes to sexual concerns, before children bring it up, always create a safe space for them. Don't always hush them when it's something that you can't answer as a parent or as a guardian. try to sit with them and sit through it with them and tell them that it's something normal. Explain to them, make them feel that if I want to have a conversation about sex, the first person that should come to their mind is with their parent or with their guardian, not with their friends. And yeah, that's my advice. As parents, I think you guys are the first people out there, so you guys should be the one that sets the example. So yeah.
Asrin, what's your say?
I really echo what Dr. Ray was saying. At any point in time, parents or guardians should be the first person a kid thinks of in any situation at all. Really, it shouldn't be their friends. It shouldn't be the last place it should be is the internet. Anyone who knows that internet is the last place you should be looking for answers, because it is such a dark place. It is such a useful tool, but it could also be a harmful tool when it's used the wrong way. So
I
of
think
course,
especially through education, yeah, because too much of pornography and too little proper sex education.
yes. So again, you are very right. The internet is a never-ending source, right? So we need to ensure that whenever the youth or children or anyone in general, really, it could be your neighbor who's comfortable with you or your friend's child who's comfortable with you. The first thing you need to do is to create a non-judgmental environment, a non-discriminatory environment. So essentially, you need to create a safe environment for the kid, for the child, and for whoever it could be. It could be your friend, actually, your friend who you've known since you were in kindergarten or primary school or high school. It could mean that one moment where someone turns to you, even though it sounds petty or it sounds ridiculous, or to you it's like, I don't even know you that well, why are you telling me this? It takes a lot for someone to approach someone else and ask for help or to ask for an opinion. It takes a lot of strength, and it takes a lot of like I said, it takes a lot of strength from one person to really ask for help. And it could be in any aspect, really, not just sexual health. It could be for any. So of course, I would really encourage safe environment, for everyone to really have a safe conversation, really. So
Okay.
again, Malaysia, we have a long way to go, but we're working towards that. We're working towards it. We're
Yeah.
getting there. We're taking a bit more time, but we're getting there. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I start to talk about sexual health, I start to meet people like Dr. Rachel. Now I meet you, so I feel there is really hope for Malaysia that there are more and more people talking about it. So, Ezekiel, any saying on how to nurture the next generation?
I was gonna go. I think maybe I might be a bit, because I do a lot. I do a lot of the counseling work as well. So Dr. Rachel, maybe at some point, maybe I'd love to bounce. What do you call this? Like exchange experience cases with you, because I deal with a lot of that. But I would be a bit harsher on the parents to just say that your kids don't care so much about what you say; they care about what you do. So it doesn't matter if you encourage them to talk about sex. If you guys don't do it, they're not gonna do it. It's gonna show up. So if you have problems in your sex life, if you don't fix it, rest assured your kids are gonna be affected by that as they grow older. So think of that as a much stronger motivation to, for lack of a better term, guys, like, get your shit together in terms of your sex lives, because you want your kids to have great sex lives in the future. It will make them happier. So take that as healthy pressure. Do what you want them to do.
But I think for me, I have a daughter who is 11 years old. So sometimes she will come and ask me questions that is like I don't know how to answer. So there's this one time she told me about she is a pansexual. I was like, what is pansexual? So then I was like, okay, I was like exploring with her, okay, what is pansexual? She said, oh, you love somebody because of her personality. Then I said, oh, then maybe I am a pansexual as well. So I think it's also all about open communication, that they feel like what Dr. Ray and Aswin said, they feel safe to just talk with you. And my daughter also told me that she has friends who is bisexual, and she's only 11. And I asked, how old is your friend? She said, oh, she's 1 year older than, she's older. She said, how old is she? She's 1 year older. I said, why would she know that she is bisexual at this age? You know, I think it's okay to be bisexual, but I think at this age, you might not know yet. You know, so you don't say that you are bisexual at this age, because you are still exploring, you're still learning who you are, you know, what your personality is and things like that. So don't so I think a lot of times when our kids talk to us, we as parents, we are so used to controlling them to who we want them to be, rather than accepting them and giving them a safe space to express themselves. You know. So yeah, so I think really nice to have Dr. Rachel and Ashwin with us today. So I hope that in future we can have more collaboration like this to talk about sexual health and sexual education. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for having us.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Ezekiel.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thanks again.
Stay safe.